Hello there. I just wanted to take some time, do a little weekly wrap up on your first week in multicultural education, see how everyone's doing. I think that things went pretty well from my end. It seems like most of you had settled in well and are, probably pretty familiar with online courses at this point. Um, with that, I just want to reflect a little bit on the IAT reflection journal article, journal article. You guys wrote it, your reflection on the IAT, the test for implicit bias. First, I'm really impressed with the thought and the effort that you put into the assignment. It's clear that most of you are taking this very seriously, and that is fantastic. But I do want to clarify a few points that came up and maybe offer some additional insight onto it. So the first big one, many of you mentioned that if your IAT results aligned with your conscious beliefs, it meant that you passed the test or that everything is fine. And this is 100% a common misconception. The AIT is not a pass-fail kind of test. It measures your implicit associations, which are the unconscious biases that we are not, for the most part, even aware of. So even if you consciously believe and are out there working towards equality, you might still have some implicit biases. This is totally normal. It does not mean that you are a bad person. I think a lot of you thought that this meant that you were racist and kind of, balked at the insinuation. And that is not what this test is saying, nor is it what it's testing. It's implicit bias, things that we are not even aware of. I have them. Pretty much every person you come across is going to have these implicit biases. If you ever had I don't know if you guys had it when you were growing up, so a dartboard. From when you were little, it was like a Velcro dartboard. And instead of the darts, because children can use darts and, I guess throw them at their friends' eyes, they had small balls that were wrapped in Velcro. And you would throw it at the board and it would stick on there. So safety first. So think of ourselves, our brains, our whatever we want to call it, right? Is this Velcro board and all these different experiences in life that you have from the time that you are popped into this world are the little Velcro balls, and they keep getting thrown at you and attached to you. You don't attach them to yourself. They're attached to you, whether it's based on your family, your community, your experiences in life. All of these things add these little Velcro balls to your dartboard, right? These are your biases, okay? It is very common for where you grew up to have certain biases, okay? It is a normal part of the human experience. This does not mean that you are racist, homophobic, sexist, okay? These are just implicit biases that you probably didn't even know existed until you took this test, which is a very well-proven test, okay? So I know there's some questions. It's a proven test. So the problem isn't that we have these biases, because we all have them. What's important is how we react to these biases, okay? I took the test to find out what biases I have. So every day it is a process to make sure that I never let those biases come into the world, right? I acknowledge them, I am self-aware of them, and I make changes to make sure that I do not adhere to any of the, share any of the stereotypes that might be broad, that these biases might bring about, okay? That is my job. That is your job, to listen to these implicit biases that you have and make sure that you fight against them, okay? How you react to them is the key. How you react to them is the difference between just having an implicit bias or being an ism, racism, sexism, homophobia, okay? Those are based on how we react to our biases, our implicit biases. Okay, so let's chat on some of the positives. A lot of you talked about the methodology of this, and I absolutely love the critical thinking that you guys are bringing into this. You might reflect on how it's tested, what are the results. Awesome. Keep questioning. That is great. But I will clear some things up on this test. So some of you pointed out that there's a potential influence of the initial pairings, right? So you are taught in that first little training thing, hit C, hit N, whatever the letters are that correspond with it. And so you're sort of trained with that, right? And then they send you into another one and it's different, pathways in your brain need to fire. Yes, 100% you could be trained from that first one. But what's important is that initial test, so let's call it test A, those results are compared to each other. Then we have test B, those results are compared to each other. So never are test A and test B compared to each other. They are relative responses, how quickly you identify or associate the different concepts within each test. They don't compare the test. But again, I love that you guys are questioning it. So the biggest thing that I want you guys to take from this is moving beyond the I'm not biased. Simply stating that I'm not biased doesn't demonstrate an understanding of implicit bias. We all have them. So even if you are not aware of them, the key to acknowledge is to acknowledge their potential existence and work to mitigate them. If you are in this course, and some of you have said, I don't have bias, there isn't any biases in the classrooms, those are for older educators, that is wrong. Research has shown that there is 100% still like live, not implicit, live bias in the classrooms, not just by the older educators, by all educators, right? There is still gender bias. There is still 100% a push for the males into the science and maths, okay? And the females into more literary areas. That is still happening, okay? There is still 100% racial bias in the classroom. If you do not acknowledge it, this class will be useless for you. If you do not recognize that you yourself have an implicit bias, not saying that you are racist or any other ist out there, but there are implicit bias. If you do not recognize that and reflect on it, this class will be useless for you because this class is for you to grow. And without acknowledging that you have room to grow, that's going to be pretty difficult, right? So next, many of you mentioned including or creating an inclusive environment. And that's great, 100%. But then it comes down to what the heck is inclusive? What does that mean? So as we go through this course, I want you to not just touch the surface, I want you to get deeper with it. Give me concrete strategies. So some examples, using inclusive language that avoids stereotypes, incorporating diverse populations and perspectives and materials into your lessons, actively challenging stereotypes and biases when you see them and when you hear them, building strong relationship with all students regardless of their background. So these are the sort of things I'm looking at when I talk about reflection. I don't want you to say an inclusive classroom, right? That's just a buzzword that anyone could throw out. Tell me what that means to you. Tell me, how do we create that inclusive classroom? Next, I want to look at connecting the biases to classroom practices. So a critical part of this assignment is connecting your IAT results to your future classroom practice. I know that this is a couple years down the road for you guys. I get it, but it starts now. How might your implicit biases influence your interactions with students, your lesson planning, your assignment methods, your assessment methods? You got to think about specific scenarios and how you can proactively address these biases. So there are different ways that you can grow in this area. Self-reflection and journaling. Reflect on your own biases and assumptions. Seek diverse perspectives. Talk to people from different backgrounds to understand their perspectives. I have a friend that I went through my doctoral program with, and he is brown-skinned, and he has talked to me on many occasions about how he has experienced on a daily basis, and he works at a very forward-thinking progressive university. But every day he faces biases because people either think that he might be of Middle Eastern descent because he's brown, he's from Trinidad, or biases based on the individuals of color for the Black students. So he is facing this all the time, and I love to have conversations with him. And sometimes they're hard. Sometimes it's a reflection on what did I do that I didn't even realize demonstrated a bias. So that's important to get these diverse perspectives. As you get into your own classroom, you want to look at your classroom data and look at different disparities based on the different groups, and be a conscientious, it's a tough word, learner, okay? Understand that learning is a lifelong process. I'm learning every day. I'm going to learn from you guys in this course, right? And part of that is understanding the bias that I bring and how to change that to build equity and equality in my classrooms. So again, the goal of this assignment is not to make anyone feel bad or guilty. It's about raising awareness, promoting self-reflection, and equipping you with the tools to create a more equitable and inclusive learning environment. So with that, just keep up the great work. I can't wait to see more of the conversations that we have in this course and the ideas that you guys bring to it. If you want to chat more, feel free to reach out to me at any point in time, send me an email, whatever it is, I will be more than happy to talk things out with you. And I look forward to what the rest of this class brings. Take care.